Guys and gals, just a quick reminder before you watch this video, do not forget to subscribe for more content such as this, and if you do so, please click the little bell symbol right next to the subscribe button. You'll get notifications on your phone, on your tablet, and on your laptop for when you can get more content from this beautiful face once more. How's it going, guys? David here with another figure review. This time it's for a cute little guy that I saw online. I thought, this is cute and timely also. We got the new Bumblebee movie coming out, and it completely went over my head that with a new Transformers-related movie, there's going to be more Transformers. Now, of course, I still stick with my guns about what Hasbro and adjacently Takara, kind of, sort of, not really, but more so Hasbro has been doing with some of the more recent lines of figures they've had for their movies to tie in with. And you guys know how I feel about those. You know, they're costing too much, they're too small, and the quality is just not there. The only exception is cases like this, where we got Takara providing a figure that, sure, is a little on the expensive side, but the quality is there. Even if it was surprisingly packed in a very small package, as you see here. Normally, for the past couple of months, every time I get a new figure to review, I think to myself, I'm going to skip the box this time. I'm going to skip the box, just cut right to the chase with the figure. And every time, I can't, because this box is just so cute. Look at the scale. These are my hands right here. These are my hands, and this is exactly how small the box really is. And here we have the box for the figure that I haven't even revealed yet, or named, or introduced rather. And that is going to be Transformers MPM-7, I believe. He's number 7. MPM-7, where do I have? Yeah, MPM-7 Masterpiece from Takara Bumblebee in Volkswagen mode from the new Bumblebee movie that's coming out this Christmas. So here we have the box, still keeping in tune with the recent generations line of design. So you got Transformers here in red on the side, Masterpiece movie series right there, and then of course images of the figure itself, both in robot and vehicle mode. Of course, this is a trademark version of the car, so they got to give them their just desserts right there, Volkswagen logo. And then down at the bottom, MP7, along with the Bumblebee movie logo, letting you know that this is actually the Bumblebee from the new movie that's coming out, not in the past Bay movies. At the top, it just says Transformers Masterpiece Movie Series. At the bottom, a lot of Japanese writing, blah, 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 blah. And then on the side, we have a little shot of close-up shot of Bumblebee with a profile shot of the vehicle. On the side, I kind of spoiled the back there, but on the side there, it's just a very see, there it goes. But then on the side, we got a long view of the vehicle right there with the Bumblebee logo, and then on the back, traditional art style that you expect in a Transformers box. The two modes, images of the different features, logo. Not much more to really say about that, except that, again, this box is just so cute and being so small. Look how tiny it is. But it's time to crack it open and take a look at MPM-7 Movie Masterpiece Series Bumblebee from the new 2018 Bumblebee spinoff. Alright, here we got Masterpiece MPM-7 Bumblebee from the new Bumblebee movie set to come out during Christmas time, around Christmas time, from Takara in association with Hasbro. So, here he is in his alternate mode. And it's the fact that he's in his alternate mode firsthand that's got me in a very depressive state. Guys, am I getting too old for Transformers? Am I losing it? Am I Peter Pan growing up and forgetting what was once innocent and true? Because this guy, much like Blackout, has some issues. Before I get to those issues though, let's tackle this alternate vehicle mode for Bumblebee, which harkens back to his original G1 roots, which is the motif that's going around with the new Bumblebee movie, is that it's going to serve as both a prequel and a reboot-ish sort of thing to the Michael Bay movies, where all the Transformers are going to have much more G1 inspired looks, not every single character from those original Bay movies are going to make a return, except for Bumblebee, as you see here, and as we can tell from some of the trailers, Optimus Prime, except he's mostly going to be in a limited capacity, where he might have some voiceovers, some transmissions, like lost logs, Bumblebee, you must do this, you're my only hope, and they got that G1 inspired look that we all kind of geeked about. And now this vehicle mode goes on ahead and confirms that even more so than we already saw in the trailers and the TV spots, in which Bumblebee is now going to be an original 1970s, 1980s Volkswagen Yellow Beetle. And as you can tell, he very much looks the part. He looks like that genuine, authentic look of an old school Volkswagen Beetle, along with the Volkswagen tires there that even have the little BMW logo. So there you go. Or is it BMW? Or is it Volkswagen? I think it's the Volkswagen logo. I'm not a car guy, guys, as you can tell. But what you do need to know is that he is yellow, except for a slight shade of orange down there at the bottom that they didn't fully keep consistent throughout the entire mold of the figure in this mode. You can see a little bit of it down here at the bottom, but then it kind of just trickles away, especially when we start to get into some of the panels here in the back side. Going over to the front, you got a little minor grille with the authentic Volkswagen Beetle headlights that look like the genuine article, except they are filled in plastic, no translucent glass. I think it would have been neat for a masterpiece figure to actually have some translucent glass in the headlights. The only translucent glass that you actually do get to see is actually in the windows. And this is meant to be a masterpiece figure, and they always strive for authenticity and, screen accuracy. Kind of befuddles me then that the only translucent glass you get on this figure is that of the windshields and the windows, and it's translucent blue. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna. Unless I'm wrong, I don't think we're gonna have translucent blue windows, glass windows in the movie. So I know that this is supposed to be a hint and a nudge towards G1 Bumblebee that had yellow into the blue windows, but this is supposed to go off of the movie, and this is not particularly movie accurate, technically speaking. But at least it speaks to the G1ers amongst the community. There you have the back. Again, the molding and the sculpting of what seems to be a very genuine article of a Volkswagen Beetle is right there, except for some coloring decisions they made that I just didn't think exactly pan out. Most notably, that shade of orange that I mentioned is at the bottom. I understand it's supposed to be probably like some wear and tear, but they didn't, like I said, keep it consistent. It's a little darker here than it is here on this panel, and just kind of cuts off right there, and it's almost the same exact deal going on this side. So it's a little strange, but I can make do with it, especially since from afar it really looks like a genuine Volkswagen Beetle that does the job at look at the part. So not much really more to say, except that he's got all the makings of said Beetle, being yellow. Really strong construction when you get him into this mode after the very grueling process that I'm already kind of foreshadowing and teasing, but we'll get to that later. Not much to really do in this mode except kind of roll around, and even then I feel like there's enough of kibble going down at the bottom that's not so much obvious. It's actually rather subtle the way it was all kind of hidden away. It's just that it is a little bulky where the undercarriage is starting to kind of fall a little lower than it's supposed to in this mode. That he balances out very well. It's not like he tips from one corner to the next. It's just that it makes it a little more difficult for those wheels to actually freely rotate when you got him in this mode. So it's almost like, well, you're just gonna pose like that, I guess. The only other thing that he can kind of do is that in the back bumper here, he's got two pegs, and you can actually house, and I guess I'm kind of spoiling or jumping a little ahead here. You can actually take the weapons, and the weapons get conjoined together, and then down here you got two little holes that can actually go into his bumper down there, as so. It can actually harbor his weapons there, or most of his accessories right there. There's actually one other accessory that is unfortunately on the loose side, and we'll bring that in later, but at least he gets to carry this around if you want to in this mode. Other than that, he really doesn't do much except that he looks for the most part great, except for, like I said, that nitpick about the coloring going on right there with that orange tint. And also something that you might have picked out by now is that there is a severe case of paneling going on around this area here. And that paneling is mostly associated with the transformation, which I guess I'll get into now. Except it's happened again, guys. I mentioned in my review for Leader Class Blackout from the Studio series that they were just so busy making sure that that vehicle mode and even that robot mode was super movie accurate, that they didn't take into account how much of the transformation needed to be fun in the first place, and it resulted in a paneling mess, especially when you get from robot mode to vehicle mode. Vehicle mode to robot mode, not so much of an issue, but getting all those panels to line up and making sure that everything is just fitting together, it just did not pan out. Unfortunately, it looks like the same influence rubbed off on Masterpiece Bumblebee here. And considering that this is the second figure this has happened to me with, it really is starting to put my perspective about Transformers into question lately. It's making me think, okay, is this a problem with the figures or is it a problem with me? What exactly am I talking about? Well, let's take a look at the transformation from vehicle to robot, and then I guess from there we can kind of reverse engineer the steps and show you exactly why it is a pain in the ass to get them from vehicle to robot, where at this point I'm almost tempted to just leave it in this mode. If you really want to appreciate this vehicle mode, which is a really well made vehicle mode, with all nitpicks aside, you might as well just keep it there, because transforming him to robot, you might as well keep him in that mode after that, because then you're going to risk breaking several different panels or pieces trying to put him back in this mode, as I had many a scare trying to do so. Here's the transformation. So the very first thing to kind of do in this mode is to kind of take the entire roof of the car and just kind of pop it and pull it out like that. Alright, then we're going to take on the sides, and it's pretty much this entire section here becomes like one wing of the figure and just kind of pops out on both sides. Sans a panel that's right here that stays with the body. So if I go to the back here and take this little section that covers up the wheel and just kind of tug at it, should be able, there you go, like that. Same thing over here. So there you go, and you'll notice that that little, I'm very mature, aren't I? This little panel right here is missing because it's still stuck as part of the body there. Now that we're actually back here, let's take this, flip it out like that. There you go. And now we're going to reach inside here, take what are going to be the arms that actually harbor said panel. Just kind of reach in and split them up and kind of move them to the side like this, so that we can kind of get everything rolling. And then as I did that, actually, this panel or this piece here that's on top of the wheel came undone. So I guess this is a good time as any to kind of take not only the roof of the car that we kind of separated, but also the hood of the car, and just take everything and kind of disconnect it and kind of flip it up. This is going to cause the wheel pieces here to kind of come detached like so. And now we can kind of just move everything. And as you can see, everything is just kind of unfolding and just stretching out. So now just imagine trying to take all those things and just fold them into each other. Anyways, carrying on with the transformation, I guess the easiest thing to kind of do is move the arms out of the way, go back here and transform the legs, which could be a little easier said than done, but we'll see. So you take all this, kind of separate it all right there, kind of come back here, and this is where it truly gets a little complicated. And yes, you're here right to the joints. We'll cover the articulation in a bit. So we go down here, all this section right here that had the back portion of the Volkswagen, we take it and we kind of fold it out that it feels like it's disconnecting. So it felt like it was connected right there. We take it and we pull on it a little bit. And when we do that, we're going to be able to take out the foot and rotate it down like this. So it's kind of like folded onto itself. While we're doing this, we're going to take the wheel, fold it in, put it in there. Now, we can take this part right here, fold it back onto itself like this, and then just take all this. And while we're doing it, the bumper right here actually breaks off, kinda, like that. So let me demonstrate again, a little bit better. And there's a major pop, so you can't really miss it. But you take this, press it in, make sure I don't break it. There we go. It folds in to kind of give it a little bit of a cover right there. And when you do that, you kind of take the entire back portion of the Volkswagen Beetle and just kind of clasp it on top of the wheel. And this kind of becomes like the calf, so to speak, of the leg. And then we go down here to the foot. Now the foot, similar to Blackout, I wonder if the same design artist was on both of them. I'm starting to think that maybe they did. The foot is actually the best part of the transformation. Even though there's an awful lot of what could be considered unnecessary steps, but whatever. So we take the heel, you can see it right there, pop it down like that. We take the toes, or the toe portion of the foot, fold it down like that, and then we reach inside, and there's actually a metal piece right there. So you can kind of see the metal piece kind of has like a little dish on it. We reach inside, we pull it out, we take the entire foot, fold it up, instead of being sideways, we fold it up, and when we do, we should be able to clasp it. So there's a tab on that metal part right there. It's going to fit in there. There's a slot where it hooks onto it right there. Now while we're at it, there's a little, actually before you do that, you kind of see again a bunch of unnecessary steps that I'm like, okay, you really threw this in here, but all right. There's a little tiny, super tiny, I don't know if I'm even going to be able to punch in on this, but there's a super tiny gray piece we fold down, and then we rotate the foot up and clasp the metal piece into that slot. And now the foot is more or less complete. Now we take another metal piece, but this one's actually way bigger. In fact, it's almost like the exact same piece as the plastic one, only this one is metal and it's way bigger. We take it, fold that down, and it doesn't really pop anywhere. It just kind of rests there, but it then completes not only the foot, but I guess while we're at it, the leg. And that was my toilet seat, just randomly fell. We have ghosts. But when it's all said and done, there's pretty much the feet right there. Something tells me that this part right here, I'm not doing it 100% accurately. The little calf portion with this part of the car kind of covering up the wheel and everything. It's gonna vary from person to person. Again, those instructions are really fucking confusing, but I did my best there. Now we're gonna do the same exact thing with the other leg. The heel, fold it out like that. Reach in here and pull out that metal piece. Take the little plastic piece and fold it down like that. So for lack of a better term, I guess we can kind of situate the bottom portion of him now. Or he should be at least. All right. Okay, so camera pan time. Yep. All right. So it does get a little easier from this point forward. Well, maybe not easier. I guess technically less complicated. A bit more fun too. There's actually some steps that I kind of enjoy. So moving on to the arms, I guess. We're going to take the front wheels and kind of fold them down. A little bit more free-flowing than the figure actually has you figured. So now they're kind of resting on top of the these panels right here, kind of looking like wings, I guess you could say. Feeds into the whole Bumblebee motif. We take what's essentially all of this, because it's all part of the same hinge, part of the same piece. We rotate it forward so that now this little mini cannon arsenal type thing that the box art heavily kind of promotes, saying, hey, it's one of the brand new features, it rotates forward and is now facing forward. So we do the same thing over here. Whoa, crazy. It's getting crazy there. So there you go. And just make sure that he's situated. So these two things, they got to be facing forward. All right. So there we go. And everything's just kind of folded up like that. We take the wheels and actually kind of just fold them up a little bit so that now they're kind of angled like that. That's actually where they're going to be resting. So we just take this, fold it upwards like that. It's going to make a little snap, but nothing too bad. Then we reach up here and we take the headlight pieces and kind of fold them down like so. Actually, before we do that, we kind of have to bring out the man of the hour so that then we can kind of situate everything and give them the finishing touches. So we actually have to take this yellow piece, fold it down, and it's actually on a double hinge. So kind of have to fold it down and then fold it a second time. See if I can. But when you do so, it'll actually reveal his head. You fold out the head like that, and this actually gives you better access on the inside. So then now you can move that second hinge like so. There we go. Let's see, it's a little stubborn right now. Yeah, it's on a double hinge. So there we go. So now it popped out. It's a little stubborn, but now you can kind of see that there's two hinges there. So now we can rotate the entire thing. Pops down, clips into place like that. Now you can see that all this and his head is flushed in with the little cannon pieces. All right. Now that we got that done, we can kind of take the top pieces here that make up the headlights and pull them down. Now when you pull them down, they're not going to easily just fold down. You actually have to take them, pull them to the side, which they're actually on like a spring-loaded type of joint that allows it to do that. And then you pull it down because it's actually gripped to the grill, to the top grill here. That's part of the hood of the car. You see right there? They're gripped onto there, but you can actually stretch the joints to the side and then fold them down. This is actually going to quote-unquote conceal the cannons that are on his chest for when he needs to use them. I guess. When you do fold them down, you're going to actually reach inside, and I kind of hate it when this happens, but you reach the bottom part here and you fold out what is essentially a fake portion of the bumper right there. So you're getting here, fold out a fake piece of the bumper, you fold it out, and then you press it down. Because this top bumper is actually going to be folded down in a second. When you do that, actually, you're going to take the bumper and kind of press down on the edges here so that they're kind of out of the way. Like that. All right. Now, before we get to that back bumper that ultimately folds his back in, we actually have to make the arms. You notice the arms are actually all the way back here. That's because you actually have to bring them forward. And to do that, you kind of have to like move them around the wing pieces that make the fucking wheel and the panels and all the doors. You kind of take them, rotate them forward, and all the way up. And when you do that, it's actually going to be, I guess I gotta move this out of the way. There's going to be a hinge there. The hinge, however, has a slot, and that goes into a tab where the cannon or arsenal is. You simply just fit it in like that, and then you rotate the arm and situate it in place. You take out the hand, you fold it out, make sure everything is in its place with the hand, like that. Now you notice right here at the front, there is a obnoxious panel. You actually have to take the entire piece and rotate it around and clip it into place, and now it's concealed in the back. Well, mostly, that's because you actually have to take the panel and rotate it all the way around like so, clips into place, and now it kind of flushes better with the form. So now you can actually rotate this around, and you can see that that piece is now mostly concealed. So we take that piece, fold it down. All right, so there's a hinge right there. Rotate it all the way up, line it up with the rest of the torso, clip it in like that, and then take the panel piece, rotate it all the way around to the back of the forearm, clip it into place, and then rotate the panel so that now it's flush this way. Now he's definitely coming together, and he's a lot less top heavy, so I think standing him up is going to be a little easier. Okay, all right, so going back to these panels here and these wheels. So the wheels stay right there. They actually do really stay right there. Now, before we take care of these panels, let's form this backpack here. So we take the hood of the car, we press on it down like so, And then, so that now it's not protruding all the way at the top. Now it's actually more like at his neck level. And then we take this right here. This is actually a little on the complicated side. But we take this piece, fold it in, and then we kind of rotate everything around as the windshield also flips in. So it's almost like he has to create a little bit of a mini backpack. It's like on two pieces. A backpack made out of 2 pieces. It takes some time to getting used to. I gotta be honest, even I haven't gotten this backpack portion down yet. Like, I transformed this thing like 5 times, and every time this backpack always kind of gives me trouble because there's so many hinges. You got one hinge right there, one hinge at the very top of the roof there, and then one other hinge at the very bottom of the windshield. So you got 4 fucking hinges, and I'm trying to figure out what was it to get it to. Oh, there you go. I got it. So you take the very top portion, this little mini panel, fold it forwards, so that now it's kind of overshadowing the windshield. Take this panel, fold it down like that, and then fold everything in. There you go. And then we just kind of rotate it down. And it just kind of sits there. Doesn't really clip into anything, but at least it gives you like a good grab on the figure. All right. Now, he's definitely a lot cleaner and a lot smoother. But what about these wings here? This is probably the last finishing touch, and it's also one of the more convenient parts of the transformation. So we take the back windows here, we pop them off, and we rotate them all the way up like this. So it's like this, all the way up, and then on the bottom hinge, rotate it all the way down. It's on a little stick. You just kind of fold them down, and basically you just hide them behind the forearms like that. Then we take this back bumper guard-ish, and we flip that piece in all the way around, and then we kind of just like fit it inside of the backpack like that. So then now it's like this. Same thing over here. We take this part, break it off like that, rotate it all the way up. Now at the very bottom of the stick, the little hinge, rotate it all the way down and just kind of conceal it behind the forearm. And then this part folds in and kind of press it so that it's clipped kind of inside of the backpack. And there is MPM-7 Bumblebee from the Bumblebee movie and Takara. As soon as I get him fixed with his fucking feet, because I do not remember him giving me this amount of problems before. I gotta be honest, guys. I don't know what's the deal. I don't know why Bumblebee's deciding to act up right now. Okay. Got him. Alright. So there's Bumblebee. Make sure these 2 pieces, because they look a little off, but it's more or less the gist of him right there. So this is exactly how he came out of the box. And I gotta be honest, it's a very impressive looking figure, most notably because as you transform him and you kind of get a feel for him, especially like I said, out of the box in this mode, you'll notice that he's a little heavy. He's got some heft, some weight to him. And I mean that in a very respectable way, where not only does he look movie accurate, or at least we're presuming he is movie accurate. From what we can tell from the trailers and the TV spots that we've seen of Bumblebee so far, this is pretty much how he's going to look like in that movie when he's got his 80s look going on. He's meant to look a bit more G1-ish. He still has the Michael Bay type of head sculpt, and they kind of gave him a very decent head sculpt here, except I gotta be honest, I think I've seen a bit better in some previous incarnations of this figure, whether it be not only in a transformer, but maybe even in a random toy that doesn't even transform, like those, I remember there was that Bumblebee that moved around to like the music and stuff like that, but it didn't actually transform. It was just like a robot that they released for the 2007 movie. That guy had a little bit of a better head sculpt than this one did. Plus, I'm getting kind of tired of the Michael Bay design of the head for Bumblebee, personally, from the marketing material, or at least from licensed products such as figures. But at least I'm glad to see that the rest of the figure is very true to what we've seen so far of Bumblebee in that new movie, where he's supposed to look a little bit smoother. He doesn't look as janky, and he looks like an amalgamation of the Bay Bumblebee with G1 Bumblebee. And it looks like so far in Robo mode, they did a good job at kind of replicating that, especially around the knee area, the arms, and most notably, of course, the headlight pieces here in the chest area that do a good job of kind of eliciting that, along with the wheels and the doors acting as wings, kind of stretching out from his backside. So I think that's pretty decent and pretty cool. Now, again, going back to that transformation, they were doing such a good job at making sure that he was movie accurate both in robot and in alternate mode, or in his vehicle mode, that transformation that you just saw kind of unfold there, no pun intended, just take it and reverse it. I'm not going to do it here. I don't feel like getting another headache. Swear to God, this figure has given me headaches. And it's because of that transformation. Because obviously coming in this mode off the packaging, I'm going to have to reverse the transformation and put him into vehicle mode. It's a pain in the ass because you saw all those steps, right? And you saw how complicated it was. Now imagine trying to fold everything in and making sure that every single panel aligns despite certain little tabs on each panel not fixing in with the other ones. Constantly I would run into a panel and it looked like it all got clipped, only to notice that a tab of that panel didn't make it all the way through. And then when I try to clip in that panel, another one comes undone. It's like a Three Stooges skit where they're trying to put one thing and then this comes undone. And they try to put one thing. It's fucking comedic of how that is. So that's why when the miracle happens and I manage to get him into vehicle mode, transform him to robo mode, it's a bit more fun to say the least. And at least the end result here is a pretty decent and pretty cool looking, actually more than decent transformer that, again, has some weight to him, and that's primarily due in part to some die-cast pieces that Takara Tomy went ahead and threw in with the masterpiece, this masterpiece version of the figure, to give it that premium feel. His toesies right here, they're made out of metal. You got some portions going on right here in the torso, most notably that hidden arsenal that was mentioned in the back of the box, as well as me during the transformation. This part right here, made out of metal. It looks like I'm rubbing his nipples. And then a couple little touches here and there. I just wish that a little bit of the detail, a little bit of the sculpt was a bit more refined, and that really is nitpicking because there's nothing too bad about the figure, except that, like I said, that head sculpt I've seen better in a couple of other versions of the figure. But other than that, I'm enjoying the die cast. I like the weight to the figure, the heft to him, and despite a little bit of kibbling going on here in the backs, most notably with, like I said, the windows kind of hanging off the side here, you got the wings that are always going to be there, but also then the backpack, and then these parts of the back of the Volkswagen kind of just resting on top of his calves. He at least feels slim enough that posing him and kind of maneuvering him it's going to be all right. And he's got the most traditional form of articulation. You do have 360 degrees going on right here in the head, as well as some slight pivoting up and down, side to side, right there. You got the arms, which rotate. It technically could rotate 360 degrees, but because of all this kibble going on here in the back, that's not really going to happen. You do have an elbow joint right there, and you actually have a swivel right above the elbow that allows it to rotate 360 degrees right there. Very surprising, really well-ranged articulation in the hands. You do have a joint on the wrist that allows it to rotate 360, but then you actually have articulation in the fingers. So his thumb actually can rotate up and down, and then the middle joint can actually move the finger inwards and outwards. It's very difficult to kind of get a hold of here on camera, but kind of get the gist of it right there. And then his other fingers, his index finger has the same articulation as the thumb, where you can actually move it up and down and then kind of bend it right in the middle. But then the remaining two fingers are individually placed and individually moved, but they don't have the same middle joint as those other two fingers did. So some things got to give, but hey, I was still immensely surprised by the articulation of the fingers. Then I'm like, all right, I see where you're at. Some premium quality there. Full 360 rotation in the waist, but there is going to be a little hindrance because of the backpack here in the back. And then, as you heard in the transformation, he does have right-sided joints at the top of the leg that allows it to move up and down. and they're not hard ratchets, so it feels actually rather nice to kind of move them about. Unfortunately, a little loose going inwards and outwards. That's actually what led to a little bit of the problems of trying to make sure that he was situated and standing upright when I was finishing up the transformation, so you kind of saw that firsthand. And then another joint at the knee to bend about that far, and actually a little bit outwards right there. Basic functionality there. Not much going on in terms of swiveling, except the top joint, which is technically a ball joint, allows it to do that so slightly right there. And then lastly, the foot, which, because of the transformation, there's actually an awful lot of pivoting in the ankle inwards and outwards. Very little, though, up and down. Actually, there's almost no up and down because of how everything's kind of locked together. Although you can move his toesies. Barely. Right there. So posability, a little undermined in a few areas because of how much skibbling is going on, or at least how the transformation exactly panned out, but at least it's really good in some others, most notably the hands, which I'm like, alright, that was, I was not expecting that. Kudos to you, Takara Tomy, I guess. Moving on to his accessories. So the one that was kind of sort of touched on earlier, but mostly in vehicle mode, but now takes full frontal here in robo mode, are going to be his weapons, which can both be kind of conjoined into one piece right here for storage purposes. But when you separate them, you end up with, get them right there, you get with his little butcher knife, saber type sword thing right there, which is quite literally just a piece of plastic that does have a little bit of a paint job going on in the yellow and the silver, and a little bit of detailing, but not much really more than that, except that it does have a superfluous tab at the very far end here that makes it look like it could kind of eject something, but it really can't. I just don't know why it's there, but alright. And then we have the gun, which right here, it looks more like a turret type of gun. And it looks pretty cool. Again, nothing really too special, but at the same time, I'm like, alright, so I got something going on right there with pretty much the identical color scheme of it being in silver and yellow, with some little pieces of detail here and there. Most notably right here in the middle that makes it look like it's got some pumping action going on right there. Now, to actually add these accessories to Bumblebee are kind of interesting. Well, one more so than the other. The knife, pretty simple. You got a tab right there, and both of his forearms actually have a slot right there. Very easily, cannot be missed. So you can take the knife and literally put it on any one of the forearms of your choosing. So you just take the tab, make sure it's lined up, press it, boom, you're all set. Just like that. Alright. So you got that. But then you got the gun. And the gun is really weird because, as you can see, the gun does not have any kind of handle. You actually have a little groove kind of carved out right there, and then kind of like a pocket, a plastic pocket right there. So a groove right there, and then a plastic pocket right there. That's because his hand actually has to go in the groove, and then his fingers go inside of the pocket. Yeah, so if you take the other free hand, kind of open it up, and then just take his thumb and kind of rotate it all the way to the back and completely out of the way. So you take his fingers, put them inside the pocket, and then you actually take the thumb and line it up with the groove that will then kind of slide it right into the hand there. There we go. There we go. Like this. That's pretty much where the gun goes. So, yeah, it's a really unconventional way of fitting in the hand. I guess it's meant to form an illusion that he transformed his hand into an arm cannon, which I guess would be movie accurate, but it's strange. I mean, it doesn't do anything negatively against the figure. It's just a very unconventional way to put on a gun. Now, technically speaking, you can actually still put the gun on that slot that I mentioned that's actually on both forearms. You got the slot right there, and you actually do have a black tab on the gun right there that you can kind of have it rest right there. Now, there's one other accessory to showcase here that's actually, in my opinion, my favorite, more so than these weapons here, and that's actually going to be a battle mask. The battle mask that we actually saw in the first teaser trailer for the Bumblebee movie, where you see him kind of take his face, kind of transform it a little bit and form it into that like Bumblebee-esque looking, or more so wasp looking kind of armor for his face. They actually went ahead and packed that up. It's nothing really too special on its own, except that it's actually neatly designed with some genuine translucent plastic, not the blue translucent things they got for the windows. Actually, they should have made the windows out of this thing right here, but anyways, that's just me. What makes it cool is actually the way to put it on him. You actually go to his head and you reach, you know how Bumblebee kind of has like a bumper piece on the very, very center right here that then, goes this way, and that leads into the little Autobot logo that he has on his forehead. You actually have to take that piece and flip it up like that, and this will actually allow you to remove the top piece holding his little antennas, his little Bumblebee antennas. So we remove that. It's almost like we're doing an operation on his brain, and now we just take the battle mask and slide it right where that was, right there. Actually, you don't even have to slide it in anything. You just have to position it there. Take that piece we flipped up, fold it back down to kind of clasp everything in place, and boom, there's Bumblebee ready for battle, and everything that comes towards him and threatens his very way of life. In other words, Shia LaBeouf. Alright, so in conclusion, Bumblebee is a little... Here's the thing, is that I'm starting to become a bit more objective when it comes to that transformation. Primarily because I'm trying to kind of reevaluate my look on Transformers, because this is the second Transformer in a row to do this to me, where the transformation from robot to vehicle is just a nightmare because of just how much paneling they ended up with, since they were trying to be so movie accurate with both the robot and the vehicle mode. And considering it is a smaller figure than Blackout, it was going to have an even bigger detriment to the figure in that phase. And I guess also look at the transformation underneath the microscope a little bit more because of how much I love transforming Transformers. It's the whole reason for why I collect them. However, like I said, since it is the second figure that's giving me this issue, I'm kind of counting it against the figure, and at the same time kind of not. I feel like maybe if I get a third Transformer that's come out recently, and in fact I actually do have one on pre-order on my Big Bad Toy Store account, if that one gives me the same issue, then maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I'm just maybe getting just too old for Transformers, and maybe this is the new norm that I'm just not really accustomed to at all, because I'm more I hail more from the Beast Wars line or the Transformers original 2007 movie line, and considering that there's just new design teams and things going on like that, it's a little hard or difficult for me to adapt. What I can honestly say on a bit more objective front is that at least this figure here has a premium quality finish to him with the die-cast pieces, and the way that the robot mode is constructed is actually really, really good, especially taking him out of the box and kind of playing around with him. Head sculpt could have been a little bit better, but at least they threw in an accessory that is just not the usual norm for Bumblebee and the little face mask, and it's actually a joy to kind of remove it and kind of play around with it. Accessories could have been a little better, but at the same time, what we got, I can't really complain too much about. And at least the vehicle mode is a really decent enough sculpt, despite some issues with the coloring. It's just a shame that getting him from this mode to vehicle makes it such a grueling chore that I just rather keep him in this mode. And at least I'm thankful, despite all the kibble, of him actually looking pretty decent in this mode. And again, the weight to his die-cast pieces and the stability of his feet and some decent articulation makes for a nice little addition to your masterpiece line. However, if you already own a shit ton of the movie Bumblebee figures, I can't say you absolutely positively need to get this guy, only more so if you're a completionist or if you are a faithful to the new movie masterpiece line, or what they're calling the MPM line from Takara Tomy. If you're a major aficionado of that line, then you want to keep the consistency going, then yeah, pick him up. He's about $90 if I'm not mistaken. That could or could not affect your decision to buy him, considering how small he is and how pricey he could actually be for you. But if you are a major Bumblebee fan, especially of the late 2000s, early 2010s, based on the Bay universe, or if you are longing for a very difficult transformation to kind of overcome, then this is your guy. In the meantime, however, I'll be giving Bumblebee, the MPM-7 version from Takara Tomy here, a low, and actually a rather low, 8 out of 10. There was a little bit of enjoyment in the transformation, and again, looking at him here in robot mode, I like how he feels. It's a very well constructed figure. I just wish he had a little bit less kibble. And that vehicle mode leaves a little bit more to be desired. But other than that, a decent addition. Definitely pick it up if you're a huge fan. Other than that, if you already have a huge shelf of Bumblebees just kind of strung together there, I figured maybe spend the money on a different character to kind of take a gander at. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of my review for MPM-7 Bumblebee from the new Bumblebee movie coming out in theaters very soon. Please let me know in the comments if you guys want to pick up this figure. Does it look cool? Would you guys be willing to shove the money? It's all up to you guys. Anyways, thank you so much for watching again. Please like and share this video to show your support. And of course, do not forget to subscribe for more toy reviews, figure reviews. That was redundant as hell. Movie reviews, game reviews, and even some TV show reviews and looks and streams at video games and all the like. And when you do subscribe, make sure you hit the little notification bell right next to it so you can know exactly when a new video goes up or when I am live. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. And yes, the show still has that very Saturday morning cartoon feel based on its frenetic pacing, the way it just kind of quickly transitions from one shot to the next, and then you also have that bombastic music and the way the characters also tell their lines.
Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth! Hey!
That must be super gross for the listeners.